And you're listening to the HomeBuyer's Hour on WCPT AM 820, where the facts matter. And we are missing my favorite mortgage person, Joey Matthews, this week. And the whole thing is, I actually got a text from him that interest rates are going to be dropping in the very near future because of stuff that's going on in the world. So we'll do my Joey Nostradamus. I'll end up doing it for him. But we do have in the studio Patrick Loftus and Steve Davis here. Patrick, if you don't mind, give us a rundown on your company and who you are and how people get hold of you.
All right. Yeah, I'm here in studio. Charlie, you don't want to take any really hardline stances on any hot-button political issues at the moment? No, probably not. I'm Patrick
I will.
Loftus. I will. All right. I see the floor. No, Patrick Loftus. I am a real estate lawyer. I always like to say real estate lawyer because you say, lawyer, what kind of lawyer are you? Real estate lawyer. And that's all I do. That's all I want to do because other areas of law are a lot less fun. And I like working with the people and, I also like making money. It all works out. If you are looking for me, I'm not much of a person who looks random phone calls, but I do like it when people send me messages on Instagram. I get a little kick out of that. So let's. I have this bargain available for people. If you want a consultation, it will cost you a follow on Instagram. And you
I love it.
Unfollow me later, I guess, but don't unfollow me.
I thought you were going to give him the old half off, double the price thing.
No, but I am thinking about changing my pricing in that exact way where I increase it. And then entice people with a increase it by $50, and you say, I'll give you $50 off.
Hey, wait a minute, I do that. How about that one?
Yeah. I learned it from you, Dad.
There it is. Unbelievable. Phone number, website.
No, not a phone number. Find me at Loftus_law on Instagram. LOF like Frank, T like Tom, US like Sam. You wouldn't believe how often people mess that up or mess up how to say that. _law on Instagram. On TikTok, find me at Loftus Law.
And Steve, if you don't mind, give us a lowdown on your business and the people you work with, and say hi to somebody special.
Yes, sir. Well, Steve Davis. I work residential real estate with the Kamara Group through Compass. And you can reach me at I'm Steve Davis on Instagram, and Facebook would be my full name, STEPHEN Davis. And to say somebody special, I will say hi to my team at the Kamara Group, as well as my wife, Vanessa.
I love it. I love it a lot. So we always try to get a bio of our real estate agents that come onto the show. And I'm always looking for somebody that's unique, successful, and passionate. And that's always going to be the key thing. So, but here you have in your bio that you were the Rookie of the Year in your first year as a real estate agent. Can you give us a little scoop on that? How'd you get Rookie of the Year?
Yes, sir. So when I switched I did rentals for 6 years, and then I switched to real estate full time, obviously, got into that. And I worked for Barrett & Warner. That was a reputable company to start. And I was, out of 1,600 agents in the city, I was the Rookie of the Year for units. Pretty exciting. Just the opportunity to work extremely hard and to help a lot of people it's always been my drive. And when I was given that plaque, I still have that.
I would be proud of it.
I was tear-jerked. I got to tell you, it was pretty cool, and it was not something I was expecting at all. All of a sudden, we were at the meeting, and they go, and the Rookie of the Year is, and I'm like, what the heck? That's wild. So that was pretty neat, and very proud of that.
And what do you think you did in order to get, well, do you remember how many units there were that you sold? Or?
I do not.
Give me a guess.
Okay. I think it was around 22 units, and I believe it was about 4.3 million in volume.
What little of eyebrows I have are being raised right now with happiness for you.
No, that's impressive.
Very impressive.
I see what agents are up to, if you will, and closing two transactions a month, just about over the course of your first year, is that's rarefied air. I'd say.
What had to do a lot with rentals as well, to be honest. So that was my bread and butter for 6 years before that. So I did both.
You're trying to diminish your own accomplishment?
Hey, you know what? I think it's good to be honest. And honestly, like, I butt off. So
Look, there's a lot of people that you hand them an opportunity and they chuck it right on the ground and they go, I don't want that. And you go, why? And they go, I can't explain it, but I don't want it. But you didn't take that route. You said, oh, opportunity. Yep, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna go after it.
absolutely, I think it's important to, to build anything you can, and more importantly, is to create value for anyone and to help them change their lives and help them. I know it's a little cliche, but the American dream is an important factor out there, and I think a lot of people really want to have it, and a lot of people can't.
It's more than that. It's our basic necessities: food, water, shelter, and this is a big one, and we get to help them with it.
Absolutely, it's a great honor, to be honest.
I'm coming to the conclusion the more I do this is that there's such a wide range of somewhere between bare minimum and a high standard.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people either don't have the experience, they don't have the vision, whatever you want to call it, to recognize the difference. They go, I was taught that this is the bare minimum and this is what my responsibilities are. And then
and you're talking about real estate agents, right?
I'm talking generally, but
okay.
Certainly in real estate specifically, and I see it because I work with a lot of different agents. My business comes from a variety of sources, and when I'm working with an agent who I'm not familiar with, and I had one a couple weeks ago where I was working with an agent who was not an Illinois agent, was representing a non-Illinois resident. They did not get a lawyer involved on the other side, and you can just see, you go, wow. That opened my eyes in a different way about what kind of value I as a lawyer add to a transaction, but also in those places where they don't use lawyers, this is they've got a real estate broker actually has to serve that function as well, and it scares me to think that if you're buying or selling a piece of real estate somewhere where they don't use lawyers, how are you going to find that particular real estate broker that is able to
runs a business in Minnesota, high-end broker, and she does it all. And I don't know how she does it. I've had conversations with her. I don't know how you don't have an attorney. You have to do title. You have to do everything. And this is hard enough as it is. And to be quite frank, it's really tough to kind of juggle all those things. So I think a real estate attorney is crucial, in my opinion, for any transaction.
Yeah, I've never met someone who transacted outside of Illinois or outside of Chicago area without a lawyer who also bought or sold real estate in the Chicago area with a lawyer who says, I prefer it without the lawyer. It just doesn't happen.
You know what? A peace of mind is a peace of mind, whether you're getting an inspection or you're getting an attorney. The fact is, you're paying for both. Because if you're not, you're crazy. In my opinion, it's just my opinion, but I just feel like you need to make sure you're covered in all aspects.
Yeah, it's gonna cost you a lot more money down the line if you hire the wrong people or don't hire people at all to fill certain roles. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I had to request specific condominium documents because this was a condo, and it was like crickets from the other side, and I just had to be persistent about it. I was like, and my client, they don't know either exactly what is supposed to happen. They don't do this all the time, and so they're like, well, can we close tomorrow? I'm like, no, we haven't received this, and this. Right. Like, well, why do we need that? And you explain to them. You get frustrated because it's like, were we in a transaction where there was a lawyer on the other side, I wouldn't have to be explaining all of this. It looks like I'm obstructing the transaction because everyone else is going, hey, can we close this? Why are you the only one that says we can't close right now? I'm like, because I'm the only one that understands the risk that my client's going to take if we don't get it all done the right way. It scares me to think that most transactions happen without that level of scrutiny, I suppose.
The other thing too, I was bring up is the fact that I think it's important to be more hands-on as an agent. A lot of people are hands-off. I think that is something that's extremely crucial when it comes to deals because every single Tuesday that I'm working with, because I want to make sure that if they have any questions, if they have any concerns, if anything's come up, if they, you know, they just want to know what's going on in the process, whether they're already under contract, or waiting for the appraisal, whether they're waiting for the inspection, whether they are freaking out about the market or whatever it is. Like, I want to be able to make sure that they stay very comfortable throughout the entire process. I'm the type of person that when I start talking to you during the process and after the process, I'm still all over it and making sure that you have questions, you have concerns, things that are bothering you, whatever. You know, if you need a guide, so to speak, right? I know that's a little cliche, but I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I never want a client to come to me and say, "Where are we at with this thing?" I'm not sure. Has anything come through? I mean, it's so important to make sure that people feel like they're involved and not just being taken along. I mean, certainly there are some clients who are just like, I hired you guys because I trust you know what you're doing. Move me in when necessary. But I find that's like the exception as opposed to the rule.
Not only that, who determines when necessary? You know, when I want to know something that I didn't know and you're supposed to know I didn't know, now you got to go ahead and talk.
Absolutely. I think education is the key no matter what it is, as I said before, during or after. As long as you understand everything and you know everything. That's one of the crucial things about hiring a professional, is to make sure that they may have a professional tag.
The license is the bare minimum.
The license, right. It's more about, like, what do they do during the process to make sure you're comfortable? What do they do to make sure you're protected?
You know, I'm going to ask you one of the hard questions. I like to ask this to home inspectors.
Yes, sir.
They talk to me about, how do I get business? How do I get busy? And so forth. And they ask me for advice, and I'm honored, right? And the biggest question I come back to them is, why should I hire you?
That's a great question.
And I want to aim it at you.
Yeah.
Why should I hire you or anyone in your company? What does your organization offer that I can't get from any other real estate agent?
Well, first of all, I think that a lot of realtors out there, they all have different things that makes them great. And one of the things that I know that makes me great, and I say that with confidence and not egotistical aspect, is that I'm hands-on. I make sure that you are comfortable before, during, after. I also am one of those people that really care and genuinely want you to get the right property. The fact is that a lot of agents out there, and no disrespect, there is a burner turners, and basically what that means is they just go through the transaction, they're done, it's over. The other thing is that I will not take on a project or a client, if you will, that is not on the same page with me. A lot of times people will just take it because it's money. Yes, I have to eat, yes, I have to put food on the table, but at the same time, I think it's more important that I am building a relationship with that client, which is very different. The other thing is that I am advising and being able to educate them through everything. I think that's huge. The differences with myself and other realtors, I think, is not only experience, but also the passion I show, passion that what drives me to be better. Always. I'm always educating myself. I'm always learning different things. Now I get to coach, teach, mentor all my agents, and it is an amazing opportunity. It's something that is near and dear to my heart, and I love being able to do that. And I think when it comes down to it, Charlie, is that there's 1,000 agents, there's 1,000 inspectors, there's 1,000 attorneys, there's 1,000 whatever, right?
There's 80,000 in Illinois.
Well, there you go. It's shrinking, which I'm not going to say I'm not happy about, just because of the fact that I think a lot of people in the business shouldn't be in the business. And I mean all the respect in the world. I just mean, get the right mentorship, coaching to be able to be great.
I can't agree with that enough.
Yeah. So.
And I want you, if you don't mind, if you're comfortable doing this, expel on that.
Sure.
How many people, first of all, are in your group? How many agents, licensed agents?
So I believe we've been kind of figuring out the best way to move forward with our business and building our team. I believe we have about 25 now, all licensed agents. Some are green, some are experienced, some are middle of the line, some are higher end as far as producing more.
But that's what you want.
100%.
For me, it's got to create the pyramid. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to enter our profession, and there's a lot that are going to fail. All right, the average lifespan is 2 years for real estate agents and for home inspectors too. All right, so why
first of all,
Sorry.
no, that's a
I know
great
it's
question.
kind of a jerk question.
No, it's not a jerk question. The reason it's not a jerk question is because the fact is, as a new agent, or even as an agent that's been out there that's maybe struggling a little bit, you want to make sure that you have the coaching and mentorship that you need to be successful. And the fact is that not everyone out there can do it. Not every company, not every team. There's a big difference, right? I'm part of Compass. And the fact is I've been part of other great ones as well. But the reason that I went over to Compass is I joined a team that was a very, very small team at the time. I think we had like 5 people. And now we have, full-time staff. We have a videographer in-house. We have media in-house. We have, and we have a full ops, as well as, 20, 25, 20, I believe, agents. And mentorship is something I didn't have. So when I started, it was jumped into a snake pit, see if you can survive. It was ridiculous. So the fact is that something
It's a lot that's still true today.
unfortunately it is.
It's the hardest way to do it. Is
Yeah.
just to be like, well, I'm gonna, spend tons of effort towards something I think might work, and then that didn't work, and then you have to
Yeah.
pivot and try something else until you find the thing that works. That's a lot of energy.
And unfortunately, I think some agents out there are still in the same predicament. But I will tell them this: one thing is, if you want coaching, teaching, mentorship, come to a group that can give you all of that, and that is the Kamar Group. This is something that I joined. I think they are phenomenal. I think that they have, we are constantly growing in regards to our systems, to being, exquisite. And I say that just based on the fact that, there's a lot of teams out there. The differences with us is we provide a coaching, a mentorship, a boot camp to make sure you know every little detail so that you can start being successful immediately instead of waiting 1 to 2 years and possibly not being out of the business, which, Charlie, I'm not surprised by the 2 years, but at the same time, I think that I know that within the real estate world is that if you work really hard, you will see the success. If you take on things and you get uncomfortable, that is one of the other things. If you can be uncomfortable, get out of your shell. I don't like doing social media. I don't like, writing things. I don't like making phone calls. I don't
That
like.
was all me.
We teach everything, Charlie. So therefore, when it comes to a team that is great, it's not just I'm just talking great about my team, but I'm talking about an option for agents out there that are either struggling a little bit, a lot, or trying possibly getting out of the business, or even coming into the business. We can teach them everything, and our whole goal is to be the best. Period. We want to be a $1 billion team by 2027, and we will do it. And the fact is, if you have the right people, the right practices, the right systems, everything, I know it can happen, and I am just thrilled to be a part of the Kamar Group, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to be a realtor in Chicago and in general, and I just think it's awesome to change people's lives.
Patrick will attest to this, and that's always for my company. I want us to be the best. All right, what is the best? And then how do you go ahead and convey that to a potential client that you're the best without sounding salesy? All right, which somebody wrote on Reddit, it still hurts my feelings.
That was my fault.
I never would have known it if you didn't tell me. But seriously, how do we? Cause, for me, we do most of our marketing direct to consumer, and I only have about 30 seconds that I can let somebody know that we are the best inspection company, and then I'm hoping that I'm going to get the question why. Because if I get the question why, that means now I have more time, and they'll want to listen. The hardest ones for me is when they just ask for the price and they think we're a commodity. And I think a lot of that goes into the real estate world too, where they think, well, what do you guys do? You just unlock a door and fill in a bunch of blanks on a piece of paper? I know I'm being degrading, but it's more than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, when it comes to any profession, I believe is what the heart you're putting into it, and then also the hard work and everything else. I mean, a lot of people feel like maybe realtors are paid too much. They feel like maybe inspectors are paid too much, or attorneys are paid too much, or whatever profession you think of. The fact is that if you want the best, you want to make sure that your biggest asset of your life, you got 3 important things in your life to do. 1, get married. 2, have have a child, and 3 is to buy a house. So when it
What
comes
about
to
the divorce and the remarrying, the divorce and the remarrying?
hey, you know
Is
what?
that good?
I think that you've got to. I think to be able to figure out who is best for you always makes sense. But you know what? That kind of
It's one
good
life we
segue.
live, though.
It's a
You're
good
right.
segue though, Charlie. Is that you go from house to house to house, right? So you know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Don't forget about you forgot there's buying the 4-cylinder Camaro. I think that's an important
He's
part.
trying to trigger me again.
is he?
Yeah, I did.
Did you get a Camaro? Did you?
And it was a 4-cylinder, right?
Well,
A 4-cylinder.
Let me just
It looked cool.
extract a little more out of the story because Charlie showed us a picture of him, when he was 29, let's say, and he had full head of hair, and he looked like a cool dude from the 80s. And I was
Are
like,
you saying Charlie doesn't look like a cool dude?
I don't look like
looks like a cool dude that's not
All
the
right.
80s anymore. So I said, you know what?
And that porn stash was a kicker too.
I said,
I rocked that thing.
This dude definitely owned a Camaro. And he looked at me and he goes,
I did.
I did own a Camaro. And I just started laughing. I'm like, boy, do I have an intuition or what?
It's fantastic.
And it was such a cheap Camaro. I didn't even get to put a Z or any number or anything in front of it.
Not on the
It was
4-cylinder.
Camaro.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know.
Nice.
Those were weird days in cars. You could get a 4-cylinder Mustang as well, and the Mustangs were hideous back in the 80s. Just
They were
terrible.
Yeah, I remember my, what was it, 72 Monte Carlo. And I got a Saturday.
Yeah, that just sounds like a cool car.
I had
Anytime-
wire
does.
rims on it that spun.
No, you did not. You had
I did.
spinners?
I had spinners. That was cool back then.
Wow.
And
When-
you
when was
gotta go
this?
with the flow. Let's see, I'm 39 minus 18, 20 years ago, so 2009. All right? What? You guys do your math your way. I'll
I
do
wondered
my
why the
way.
housing market went down. That makes sense.
Yeah, I
Spinners.
just wanted to understand how you were sourcing 8-track tapes in 2009.
I had 8-track tapes.
I never
It's
had the
all
privilege, but I did have the cassette ones. Obviously, the mixtape.
Oh, for sure.
We are so off track, and I'm going to get us back on there. Tell me
This is the best part. It's more
Tell
of
me
the.
about the Kamar Group, and how do people get a hold of you, Steve, if they have questions?
Sure. So, Rave Kamara Group, obviously, it's we are at 2401 2401 Main in Evanston. That is one of our offices. We are based out of the Lincoln Park office over at 2350 North Lincoln on the 3rd floor. If you need to get a hold of us, just call me 312-513-6314.
One more time on that phone number.
Sure, 312-513-6314.
Anytime, 24/7.
That's correct. Wait, no, that's not.
Same here. Patrick, how do they get a hold of you?
How does one spell Kamar? Is that,
It's Qamar.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, hey, that's okay.
He made the magazine too, didn't he?
He did, yes. Actually, Coots, actually, I'm a bit of feel that he's a little bit of a mentor to me, but also he's my partner in crime and the team lead, Rafe
Not
Kamar.
actual crime. Let's make that clear.
Well,
as
you
the
know.
lawyer in the room, I just
Okay.
have to make it clear that
Sorry, we'll
Steve
negate
Davis
what I just said.
is not committing actual crimes.
That is correct.
His partner in life.
I am.
That has a whole nother meaning, yeah.
That is a
the
whole other
malarkey.
meaning. Vanessa, do not listen to that statement.
And I just saw Patrick throw the malarkey flag at himself.
I was
If you
going to
can
say,
literally do that.
I was going to say, we'll just throw that flag
There
over
it
there. Whatever that thing is I just threw. It's the challenge flag. Anyway, so yeah, Rafe was he built the team from ground up, and I was obviously fortunate to get on. And he, speaking of amazingness, he was on the front of this magazine, which I am going to be there. I'm not there at this point, and the fact is that it is a great accomplishment, and I'm just proud to be looked upon as someone who should be a part of it. There is my picture right there. That is my whole thing is I like the socks and I like the pocket square. That's kind of my trademark. So you'll see this and you'll see the fancy socks I got on, which that hurts doing that, but that's
I love
okay.
it.
Look at that, man. 40
So-
years old, you still
So
touch
yeah,
his
yes
nose
sir,
to
I
the
was a
side.
gymnast in high school.
No kidding.
Yes, I was.
What was your
also did. I dabbled in martial arts as well as a kid, so I had a lot of fun with that as well. I've always been really active, and well, it kind of slowed down, but
Man, I'm skating around, so I was hockey. I skate around there, and I just look around and go, what am I doing? Oh yeah. What? Oh yeah.
Am I? The only reason I'm there is because they deliver beers to the locker room afterward. But that's
a good deal.
well, it is. It
Depends on the
is.
beer, though, of course.
It's Labatt.
What's wrong with Labatt?
I'm a Labatt guy.
Canadian.
I'm, Johnny's Ice House, the Stanley Club, I believe
Wisconsin.
pours more Labatt than any bar in the city.
Is that right?
Believe it or not.
I did not know that.
I don't know that either. Patrick, how do they get hold of you if they need to know more about Labatt's?
Labatt's. So if you, I don't know. Well, yeah. Anyways, a joke was sort of half formed in my head, and then it didn't make it. And you watched my brain lock up live right in front of you. If you want to hire a lawyer whose brain locks up sometimes, find me on social media at Loftus_law on Instagram, at Loftus Law on TikTok.
Sounds good. And my name is Charlie Belfontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. I'm going to go right out there on the limb and say we are the best home inspection business out there. We're closing in on 1,700 five-star reviews that we take great pride in. Our phone number is 312-544-9180, and our website is www.thehomeinspectors, that's plural, O-R-S, and it's a .com. I also own Home Inspection University of Illinois. So if anybody's interested in becoming a home inspector or entering our profession, please give us a call. Again, same phone number. We'll get hold of me, and we can get you started in the program. It's one of the most rewarding careers that exist out there. And you kind of mentioned it, Steve, a little bit about helping other people with one of their primary American dreams, home ownership. It's huge. But we can also financially ruin a family if we start getting them into something that they're not prepared and they don't have the knowledge and they don't know what it is they're going. You, Patrick, you deal with this mostly, at least from what I hear on the show, with the condo docs. Somebody wants to do an Airbnb. They want pets. They want this. And then all of a sudden they're stuck in buying a place that they don't want to live in.
I mean,
Not if you have a good realtor. Sorry.
Well,
I throw that in there.
No,
No,
for
I'm
sure.
glad you did. And that's the point I'm trying to make.
Especially here in Chicago, we do deal with a lot of condos, but don't sleep on how complicated it can be with a single-family detached. I mean, the first thing you'll do when you get single-family detached means just a house that is not attached to another house.
What's you is basic to some of our listeners is not.
Correct.
Use too much lingo, and all of a sudden it's like, what is this guy talking about? So I do try to speak English as much as possible. Regular person English. So
I got you.
You buy a house and you go, well, it's not a condo. I have no association dues, whatever. First thing you're going to do is go search that address on the building department website and see what comes up. And sometimes, I did a couple of posts, social media posts on this, and on LinkedIn I had someone who was a former administrative law judge, meaning they were in building court, comment on my social media posts about the pitfalls of not knowing what you're getting yourself into, and they were like, this is spot on. And so that validated me. But these things, there's so much, and I keep learning more. The more I know, the more I'm just like, wow, this job just keeps getting more and more complicated. But it's because I have more and continue to acquire more resources, more ways to learn things about the home that my client is going to be purchasing. Also, if they're selling, I mean, so often I think we lean toward talking about how to protect the purchaser, and I think fair enough, just given the risk factors vis-a-vis the seller. The seller already has the property. The risks there are much less than someone who could potentially buy a property that has a big time problem. And whether or not the seller
They're getting
knows
rid of their
about it.
big time problem.
Well, sometimes that's the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the case. If I get a multifamily residential contract, then again, first place to go is City of Chicago. And I'm assuming it's City of Chicago. If it were in a different municipality, we would be submitting a Freedom of Information Act request
to their billing department to find out what documents are available, violations and whatnot. When those things come up, you go, you can see it. You can see what has happened. There's a building court case going on, and they're insisting on a new porch. 20 windows need lintels replaced, and the seller did the math in their head, and they go, nah. But they know that there's no way around it, so they're trying to shift that problem onto somebody else. That somebody else is represented by me. Now we're either asking for a big-time credit, or we are exiting and looking for something more suitable. That's what happens with a lot of those contracts with multifamily residential, especially. I'll know usually when I get involved with a client with one of those transactions, we're likely to be in and out of a couple two tree. I
love it.
Two tree.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I was going with all that, other than to say, it's just so important to, as Steve has mentioned earlier, is we're advisors. We're people with lots and lots of experience doing this, advising someone who is doing it probably a handful of times in their entire life, and our expertise, if deployed in a meaningful way, a mindful way, however you want to characterize it, that is invaluable. Whatever we cost, we're worth so much more. And I say that knowing that completely sounds
because we save them so much more money.
Yeah, we do. And to segue off of that too, Patrick, is that one of the things two things I always tell my clients, and this is kind of what I think is very important to get across to them, is first of all, this, when I'm helping a buyer, it is about the fact of being patient, letting them be in a hurry, letting them be slow. It doesn't matter. So I always tell them it's a marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you want it to be a sprint, fine. If you want to be pushed, great. But I will tell you that I will never, ever, ever push someone, because I feel like, as I said, there's three things that are most important that you're going to do that are most important in your life. And one of them is buying a house. And the other thing is too, is that, if you mentioned the fact of having to possibly pass on one and go to find another one and so on. The whole thing is that if you found one perfect one, you're going to find another. That's true. It's the fact of just taking your time. You don't have to be in a rush. And the agent, that makes you kind of push yourself, if they don't want to be pushed, is the one that's money driven. They don't care. They're not out there for your well-being. They're just out there for themselves and their pocketbook. And honestly, please fire them and call me.
And that's
ridiculous. Or call someone like Steve. I mean, I would advise, and I frequently advise people to trust your gut. If something about it doesn't feel right, there's a reason for that. And if somebody is pushing you and it doesn't feel like they have a legitimate reason to push you, if it feels like they are maybe motivated by things that are other than your best interests, then go ahead, pull the trigger, and just say no. Saying no is fine. There's nothing wrong with saying no.
No, not at all.
Say no.
Right. The only problem is when you say no, and Steve, you don't know this about our company. My job pretty much is to do follow-up interviews through Zoom, where I go over the report with our clients. We talk about the ramifications of the issues, and also how much is it going to cost to fix these things. All right? Nobody else does this, but I enjoy it.
You go through So
Personally,
when you send
we got 14 inspectors.
inspection report,
They go out there and do the inspections. I do the follow-up. All right.
really, and you get on Zoom with them,
And that way I could share the report, and we can go through the entire report, talk about the pictures, show about the issues, and so forth, right? And one of the things, we just had a flip recently.
Okay.
And Patrick, I know I rolled my eyes because I can't stand him, but you could see they upgraded
Patrick
the
or
electric.
the other guy.
No, I love Patrick, but it was the flippers, when it comes to it. Some of them do great work. Some of them are not so great.
Not so much. Yeah.
Most of them, it's garbage.
Cutting the corners.
I get one of those inspection reports, and Charlie, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're good.
The worst one, and I think it's so unfair to the inspector, is where the flipper puts it on the market knowing there's a bunch of stuff, and you're doing their punch list. That,
Not only that, we're their
Flippers-
warranty company.
Flippers, that's your job.
know?
Much.
If you think, and I know, I get it. You know, you want it's not. You don't want to go that extra mile. You don't want to do this. You know, you're not going to get any value, so to speak, out of it. But trust me, when I see one of these reports and it's obvious that the flipper has left the punch list work up to the inspector, I'm telling the client about it. Your reputation's taking a hit every time you see one of those. Now, if I see a flip, and this is a rare one, it comes through and that inspection's clean, I'm like, yeah, okay, so this person not only knows what they're doing, but cares enough to deliver a flipped house that is not that is going to be something that they can be proud of ultimately. It's not just driven by what am I getting out of it.
Or
The inspector needs to be.
stunk.
Well, yeah.
The
But-
inspector stunk.
But the
That can be
inspector
too.
didn't
No,
found it
I
either,
can
so
tell.
that makes a
You
big
know,
difference.
Can you tell the good and bad?
At this point, you can
All right.
tell. You know, even if the inspector missed a bunch of stuff, if I've got a picture of the basement, yeah, I can tell a lot from a picture of a basement.
That I love to hear. And I
Interesting.
think I'm
So would
bleeding
I.
over on you. And that's where I was going when I started was, we had one that looked like the electric was upgraded, but you could see that it's like a number 6 copper wire coming from the Service Central overhead drop, and then all of a sudden it's all electrical tape, and now it's a number 2 copper.
If you see anything,
and
any
it's
electrical
crazy.
tape on the electrical wire,
On the
it scares the
splices.
crap out of me. Yeah.
So, what I'm learning from Patrick is like, oh, this is easy. I could look up and see if they have any permits on this property. So I did. None.
None, yeah.
Never.
And for the suburbs, there's another company out there. It's called BuildFax. And I think they copied it off of that Carfax company.
Eh.
But,
No.
well, I think it's a
Seriously?
great idea.
Hey,
Yeah, no, and you
Alright.
could pay. It's like $20. It's
There's
not
no-
outrageous.
There's no new ideas out there. All
No.
right. So,
But I guess if you don't want to go through, and most FOIAs in the suburbs, I know there's good
it's
and
pretty
bad.
straightforward.
Yeah, and it's like a day. You end
Yeah.
up getting everything back pretty quickly.
They have 5 business days, and like you said, Charlie, it is usually a day they get
Yeah.
back to you, and it's whatever you get, but a lot of times you can tell something, and that's another, you're trying to catch things in the net.
But doing more is where I was going. And Steve, this is what I kind of heard from you as well. Like when I'm going to bash some of my competitors, and these are my friends that I shake my heads. The bigger companies, we do get together, we do talk, we do share, we are open. So I'm not going to go ahead and say bad about them. But we got large companies out there that limit the amount of issues they find to 15.
Oh, geez.
All right? I tell my clients, and this is what I'm talking about,
Wow. Basura.
putting everything into perspective or proper context, because I don't want, if somebody's expecting 15 things and then we document 70, which, by the way, is our average on everything that I look at, I don't want them to think this is a bad house and then go look for another one. And then all of a sudden we hit them with another 70 and then look for a third one when they really fell in love with the first one.
Well, I think it's going off of what you're saying, I think it has to do with us, as the agents, being able to. One of the things that I do is my clients will see we'll do the inspection on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. Within 24 hours, I normally get the inspection report. My client gets the inspection report. I tell them to look over the inspection report. We'll talk later that afternoon or the next day or whatever.
Smart.
And then we go through what are the major things that, that you're worried about, right? The little things here, there, whatever. And I think that's why it's important. You say the average is 70. Man, that's a lot.
That's our
but-
company.
Yeah. No,
That's
no.
our
And
company.
I respect that because that
And-
means you're doing your due diligence. You're doing your job.
Well, some of the stuff isn't necessary
Right.
either, all right?
Little things.
But I don't want my clients thinking that I'm making decisions for them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to want them to make the decision. I just want to give them the knowledge so they can make a good decision. And then, but again, it has to come into context, and that's part of that follow-up that I do with them. That's the reason why, because if I just hand you something and then now go figure it out, that doesn't help our clients
No,
out.
not at
And
all.
if they got an agent that can't figure that out for them and explain it to them, that doesn't help them either.
No, and being an agent, if you're competent or you're not, that kind of brings it back to it is that, with someone who's experienced, such as myself and others that have been in the business for a long time, and have a steady stream of, repeat clients, if you will, or even, an SOI, a sphere of influence, that's crucial. And the fact is that you've got to walk them through what is going on, what they can probably expect based on what you've seen. You know, I'm not a home inspector, so I can't point out every little detail. But the fact is, if you create proper expectations for them during, during the inspection or even before when you look at the house, I think it makes a big difference when it
does
comes
make a big
to
difference.
when the inspection comes out. Because,
Yeah.
as you said, an average of 70 things, you know, you're going to find what are the ones that are going to make you
There it
decide
is.
this may not be a good option
Yeah.
for us.
What's
And
important, what's
what's
minor,
important.
what can I ignore?
Exactly.
All right, like we'll get cracks in a foundation. There's no signs of water ever coming in there. We're going to take a photo of it. We're going to put it in the report.
Yeah, and then it's just a simple, hey, how big is of a concern of this? You know, and then I
It's
bring it up
not.
to them. I say,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But as a first-time home buyer, I should say this, as a repeat home buyer, you're going to know right away. Be like, all right, I already went through this. I already know that, okay, I'm going to find this, and this. Or these might be little things here, there, GFI outlets, things like that. But when it comes to, you know, certain things, you know, how bad is the foundation? Where are we seeing? Is it a massive crack? Has it been, you know, taken care of professionally? So on. You know, I think that makes a huge difference. And I think, again, when it comes to being a realtor, being an attorney, being, you know, home inspector, any of those larger, you know, any of those professions, you have to know what you're doing. And if you don't, you're not advising your client right. You shouldn't be hired in the first place. And honestly, when they say you get paid too much, I would agree at that point. Not if you actually know what you're doing and you're advising the clients that you should be.
In my company, the biggest thing that I get is positive feedback from our clients. It's like very important, and I
100%.
stress that to all of our guys. And again, one of the bigger companies, they're like, why? What do you care if they're happy with you or not? I'm like, what do you mean? I want them
That's
to write
a very
positive
sad
review.
question.
It
That's
is.
a sad question that you even get that question.
And he defended it by saying that, well, when are they going to buy a house again? You know, if they're only going to buy a house once every 10 years, they're going to forget about you. You know, it's the real estate agent. That's your client. You should be focusing on making them happy. And then I'm just like going into, you know, trigger mode. It's like, no, I can't do that. You know, Patrick, his eyes are up in the air. I got to hear what he has to say on this.
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
it's like,
And I'm sure the same in the attorney things happen, right?
I'm just, you know, I don't know why this has popped into my mind, but it reminds me of the Lego movie where, what is it, President Business is, you know, the.
I didn't watch the Lego movie.
I didn't
I'm
either.
so bad.
Isn't that bad?
Now
You
you
and
want
I
to
being
talk
movie
about
buffs, that's
the
pretty
Red
bad.
October. Let's go
You
there.
I mean, yeah, I'll go there.
Okay,
That all day.
okay,
Absolutely.
Okay, let me just.
Sean Connery.
What the heck was that? You were not. Gonna
Not a
be-
great impression.
The
You will
Lego.
not be the
All
next
right, well.
James Bond anytime
Hey,
soon.
you know,
I mean, you look.
I'm not that cool.
You look the part, but the accent just you lost me there.
No? All right.
The Lego movie. You guys. Okay, I know. It's like why
You
am I?
guys.
I'm a grown up. Why
two
should I watch
youths.
the Lego movie? The Lego movie. Okay, so you guys have kids. And you've seen. I don't have any kids, but you know, I
got fur babies, so those are my
Right.
children.
Okay. So he's had this experience. You know,
One for three, Patrick. Go ahead.
you know, what am I going to do? All right. I'm alienating Steve with every word that comes out of my mouth. Look, my point is that these movies are made they've got kind of two layers to it, right? There's like the, you know, cartoony thing, and the kids go, oh, cartoons. But then there's like the, you know, the deeper level with like the different jokes. And it's just, it is such a brilliant movie. I cannot recommend the Lego movie enough. The second one, I went and saw the second one.
This
in the
was
theater.
Will Arnett was the main guy, right?
He's Batman.
He's Batman.
He's Batman.
In the
Charlie,
Lego movie.
Charlie Day is the main guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be good then. I got to
it's
watch that.
excellent. Oh my, Lego Batman. I mean, just
Charlie, we got to watch that.
Lego Ninjago with
Netflix party. I'm in.
That's
with,
right.
with Jackie Chan. I'm just all the Lego movies. I'm into it. I'm sorry, Charlie.
If you want a mature attorney that you could work with, please get Patrick Loftus a call 773-632-8330
don't do that to me.
at midnight.
Every Gen Z who is going to
Oh,
come
boy.
across this is going to be like, I identify with this guy. I grew up with the Lego
What are
movie.
they going to do after Gen Z? I mean, they ran out
Gen
of
Alpha.
letters.
Gen Alpha is what
Go
they're
back to
calling
A?
it.
It's Alpha.
Gen Alpha.
Oh, wow.
Alpha is in the Alpha closet, or the Alpha is in the A?
I think because Z is the end of the alphabet, it's
it
sort
would
of
go
like,
A. That would make
yeah,
sense.
Yeah, they you know, it's not very creative. You know,
And I just want you to know our producer here has done a little fact checking. So it was Chris Pratt who was the main character in the movie, not
Oh,
Charlie
you
Day.
failed.
was Spaceman. Oh yeah. My bad. Yeah. So it's got one of the Chris's in it. I mean, come on.
You're reaching, brother.
It's a great movie. Let me build something.
No, I love it. Unbelievable. Speaking of movies, though, I would have to say,
just saying,
double-decker couch. Yeah. So I would say, though, as far as real estate goes, though,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, with regard to what's going on with the market now and everything else, I mean, people really have to take their time to choose that realtor that's going to be good for them, and you really got to make sure that they are qualified, because it's a crazy world out there, what's going on and everything else. I mean, I don't know if we have time to elaborate on that, but
different.
Yeah, we got time. Sure.
yeah. Okay, you want to elaborate on that, Patrick?
The couple of things I'm seeing as far as my clientele, one is that I think I had only one of like the last 15 where someone was selling an owner occupied. In other words,
Really?
Wow.
Most of the transactions I'm handling are transactions where, whether or not my client is buying the property to live there, they were investor-owned properties. And I'm not just speaking multifamily, I'm speaking condominium, single-family detached, those house on a lot things. And there's a lot of cash buyers, more cash buyers than I'm accustomed to seeing. Why is that? Cash buyers not affected by interest rates.
Correct.
They're seeing value out there. So for all of you, I did a couple of social media posts last 2 days about interest rates, and I really triggered some people.
Oh yeah, you did.
and it's so interesting. The psychology of it is very interesting, because the one thing that I've seen a number of times is people look back at what a house cost in the 80s or the 70s, whatever it is, and they go, well, of course it was more affordable. And for some reason, they're able to separate that, and they think that if they went back in time, they'd still be making the same amount they do today.
Right.
It's not the case.
No.
I mean,
I was $24,000 a year was my salary back then, and I bought a $100,000 house.
Yeah. And you know what? You were stretching at that point.
I stretched.
You put, whatever, 10, 20K down. So you had to find
I had
that.
$1,000 a month mortgage.
Yeah. And
that's
at
half my money.
$24,000. Wow. Yeah, that's half your take-home pay.
Yeah.
Your gross at $24,000 is going to be about $2,700 a month. Your take-home is going to be, 2/3 of that. So, the math don't math. And it's like, I get it. I mean, I fall for the same pitfall. I go, wow, I could have afforded X, Y, and Z 5 years ago, and it's irrelevant, because today what I'm making is different. It's all it's all based on math that's not realistic, and so it's all meant to say that. I understand in some circumstances the interest rates will have priced you out of the thing that you want to move to next. Fair enough. Interest rates are affecting you in a very, that means 5 minutes.
I got you.
In a very direct way.
I thought he was raising his hand.
He wants to talk.
There's no raising hands here.
No. Okay.
But
Just interrupt.
If that's not you, I mean, rates are always moving, whether they're up or down. They're never staying the same. Whatever that rate is that you are buying at, even if it's a stretch today, at some point those rates will be lower, and you will then magically make the house that you're already living in more affordable by refinancing. Now, again, these are easy words to say. Yeah. When someone has to actually go and do it, they're like, yeah,
But here's the thing, kind of segueing off that, is that the people that are buying right now, are choosing to buy right now, or the people that are choosing to wait. They're waiting for something that is an unknown factor, and you can wait and hope, but what happens if that changes? And the thing is that with my clients, I give that to them straight. I mean, I have a lot of them that are waiting, right? And I have a lot of them that have jumped in, and no matter what it is, you're going to build equity as soon as you buy that home. So do you want to spend $3,000 on rent, or do you want to spend $2,500 in mortgage and actually save $500 and then build equity?
Not only that, but you lower your tax too. You can't
100%.
write off anything that's rented.
No.
Yeah, and here's another. This is what I wanted to talk about today. Just getting around to it, but this is what I wanted to talk to Joey about, because he's said in the past about dispelling the myth that you need 20% down.
Nope.
And I'm like, nah, come on. Do people? This is a way more of a thing than I thought it was. Y'all, for the 10 of you that are listening, You can literally.
Hope there's more than
for the
10,
10 of you plus
25
Steve's
my
team,
agents at least.
You know, listen, you can borrow money 96.5% of the purchase price in an FHA loan. There's no stigma attached to FHA. The current loan I have for the property I own and live in is an FHA loan. Do I feel any stigma? No.
No.
I have a home that I, am proud of, and now I have a payment that's not going to go up because I've locked in a principal and interest, and at some point, I'm at 4%. At no time in the future will I be refinancing, at least to refinance that loan. But if you think that homes are unaffordable and you've not talked to any professionals whatsoever, reach out to someone like Steve, someone like Joey, who's not here right now. Have a conversation with them and start to learn more about what this thing is. Because if you only have just a general understanding that I've got to have this much in order to even consider it, you have way more options than you think.
I agree.
Yeah, and the whole thing was with that is that the education is key, as you mentioned, and not a lot of people are educated, so therefore they don't even have the answers, and they're just scared, and they jump at things not even knowing things and stuff like that. So I think it's crucial.
Come
The more
to us.
you know, the more
we
you're
want to
worth.
help. And even if you end up deciding, well, thank you for the information, I'm still going to rent, that's cool too.
Perfect.
Not a problem. Now you know. Now you've made an informed decision, and
You got to
I
get
feel
rid of the
good about that
principle.
generally.
You got to get rid of the principle about things too. Example: my son, he bought an FHA mortgage or bought his house with an FHA mortgage, and he's paying PMI, and he doesn't want to pay PMI. But yet, if he refinances now, he's going to end up with a higher interest rate than what he has his original interest rate plus the PMI.
Does
He'll
he
end
like
up
his
paying
house?
Stick
more.
around PMI.
He
It's
loves
like
his
100.
home. He's got a beautiful home.
Can he afford the payment?
He absolutely can. So just let it
Grand
run.
Then
slam.
let it go.
It's a huge
Exactly.
win.
Yeah.
And he got it. Steve, if people want to get hold of you, we're closing in right now. Can you tell us how to get hold of you, please?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of me by email. It's stevedavis@compass.com. And then my Instagram is I'm Steve Davis. And and my number is 312-513-6314.
And now you talk about mentoring people. Is that only people that are in your group?
So it's a great question.
And we only got about a minute to
yeah,
answer. Less than that.
no,
Sorry.
no,
I'm really
fair
good at that.
question.
it's in the group, but it's also, I mean,
Malarkey
if
flag.
if anyone needs help out there and they're kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do and so on, I'd be more than happy to help. I'm not in it. I'm in it for the relationship and also just to be able to be a coach to people because not everyone has it.
Sounds good. Patrick, how do they get hold of you, please?
Instagram at Loftus_law. Follow me, and then I might give you some information. On TikTok at Loftus Law.
And my name is Charlie Belfontaine. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Chicagoland Home Inspectors is our company name. Our website is thehomeinspectors.com. And I want to give a special thank you to Devin Tingle, who makes everything work here. Sorry that we had a little bit of noise issues, but thank you always, and we'll see you next week.